Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. We're going to start off with the bar scene with Johnny, Chanel, Alex, and Allie. Catching them somewhat kissing, but not kissing, even though it was like a lemon thing that they were doing. They got into this fight, okay? He went back and forth. And this is something that I said in my live stream with DC. If you didn't check it out, definitely check it out. It's at a point where it's like, does it even matter? Like in the beginning, this came down to being Chanel's fault initially, right? Chanel's, and then Allie, and then the underwear and everything like that. And it's gotten to a point where it's like, does it even matter whose fault it is anymore? It's getting to a point where it's like it's going past no point of return. You can clearly see that towards the end of this episode. Um, Chanel and Johnny wound up leaving. Allie decided she wanted to keep getting drunk. And, Alex was just there. They get back to Allie's place. And she's pretty much just like, well, Alex wants to sit there and crash. He was like, hey, can I sit there and sleep in the office again or whatever and make sure I keep, I won't be sitting there sleeping in the nude this time. Then she's all like, well, maybe you can sit there and, you can just sleep in my bed. And the look that she gave her in the face, I was like, what? I mean, and granted, she was drunk, right? She had a lot to drink. He had a lot to drink. And, there's a point where, Alex is like, is you sure this is a good idea? Like, you might want to sit there and pass things up with Chanel or whatever. And they just start kissing and they went, well, you know exactly where they went. I was going to sit there and say he went to the bedroom, but that's actually, I'm mixing it up with another scene. Now, of course, after Johnny and Chanel argue with those two, they wound up going to another place to drink. They wound up going to Roman's bar. And, of course, they met up with Trip and Wendy. So the minute they walked on in, Wendy was like, all right, let me just put you to the side. And they had a conversation. She wasn't too happy about, I thought you was going to go and see the movie and you're hanging out with her. Like, what's going on? Now, in this setting, I was like, when Johnny was like, well, you did cancel on me. Like, I want to go with you. You canceled on me. And I saw Chanel. And, we want to sit there and get some drinks or whatever since she didn't want to see the movie that I want to see. To an extent, I was like, you know what? Johnny's in the right. You don't get to sit there and say no. You don't get to say no and then be upset when he decides to take somebody else out. Like, he doesn't have any obligations to you, Like, as far as, like, y'all not in a relationship. You're not seeing each other. And up until this point, those two are just friends. So, don't sit there and try to act like, boo-hoo, I'm more hurt about it. On the other hand, this is one of those things where Wendy's like, listen, we just got to bow out. Because, like, I'm done. I'm not going to sit there and do this. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to be hurt. So, we just need to kind of just table this whole thing. And overall, I think it's the best thing that she could have done. The fact that she even considered to give him a chance after that whole first almost kiss was a mistake. And when Wendy was like, listen, we can't sit and be together until you figure out your feelings for her, I thought that was the smartest thing. That was probably the smartest thing that I've seen in this whole episode. So she winds up hanging back out with Trip, and Chanel and Johnny wound up going back to Paulina's place. They start drinking, they start reminiscing, and, Johnny's like, we're doing exactly what my sister said we were going to do. It gets to a point where they get all close. Chanel starts to lean in, and Johnny's like, listen, as mad as I am, as mad as I am with my sister, I don't want to do this to her, and I don't want to do this to y'all. Y'all can pass things up. We don't need to sit there and do this. We don't need to sit there and practically prove Allie right. And that's when Chanel was like, yeah, I'm gonna be loyal to her even though she doesn't deserve it. And even right there, that sentence right there was like, makes me just look at it. It was like, y'all should have never got together. Either one of them should have never got together because either one of them are mature enough to be in a relationship. Point blank, period. Allie cheated on Tripp twice with the same person. And Chanel almost cheated on Allie with her brother. And then there was the whole waiting game. Oh, who am I going to sit there and pitch? We're doing the whole bachelorette thing. I'm like, yo, y'all should have both never been together. They really shouldn't have. And now the part that really sucks is that, I mean, it doesn't really suck, but it's one of those things where it's like she decided to do the right thing and not going to bed with Johnny. Meanwhile, you can clearly see both of those two just making out like, all right, we're just gonna do it. Like, whatever is whatever. And then I guess, Ali was sitting there like, but I was drunk, I didn't know any better, and we were fighting, and it just sort of happened, and you can see how this whole thing's gonna go. So Rex comes over to, see Victor to give him a letter from Philip. Sarah walks in. Sarah, first of all, Sarah walks in and she just decided to just go back to short area. Like, just kept it short. At first, I was like, it did kind of throw me off for a little bit because in the beginning, when she actually grew her hair long, I was used to her hair being short. So when she grew it out long, and then she had it short, and I was like, I don't. It's gonna take me some minutes to actually get used to it. Towards the end of the episode, she kind of reminded me why I used to call her Hot Sarah. So, she starts talking about Xander and, the divorce and everything like that after she finds out about Philip being alive and she's not going to say anything. So she's talking about Xander and you can tell she's still angry. There's a part in the episode where Rex is like, but are you going to forgive him? She's like, well, the papers are signed and, it's in the courts and everything like that. So that's not the question I'm asking you. Are you going to forgive him? So it gets to a point where I guess Rex can clearly see that this stuff is really bothering her and she needs to find a way to let it out. So she picks up this pillow and she starts hitting the pillow and everything like that. And, she starts letting out her frustration about the fact that Xander moved on so fast that apparently he's not allowed to move on, even though you're allowed to sit there and serve him with divorce papers. But, she's all upset about that and the kidnapping and the lying and everything like that. And she's just angry. She's hitting the bag or the pillow, whatever. And, Rex is like, all right, this isn't working because it's like she's almost seemed like she's getting more worked up. So at this point, are you, it's not working or whatever. And then, Sarah's like, yeah, well, this isn't really working. So she starts kissing on Rex. And Rex is like, listen, you're angry, you're upset or whatever, you're not really thinking too clear. And, she's all like, oh, you never got over me, yada, yada, yada. And they start kissing. He takes off her shirt. I mean, she takes off his shirt. Um, as if they remember network television roles. But then she's all like, oh, come with me to my room. And he's just like, all right. He's like, all right. He just follows her up there. It's just like, hmm. I wonder if I feel like she's probably going to forget. She's going to regret that in the morning afterwards. She was all like, "Oh well, Xander, he moved on, so why shouldn't I?" And granted, that sounds really fun and nice in the moment. In the long run, it's a little bit kind of different. But I guess we'll just wait and see what happens with that. Now, Gwen, Gwen is just coming across as so pathetic. She's constantly checking her phone, and he's like, "Hey, what do you want to eat? What do you want to get to drink? What do you want to watch?" And she's just looking at her phone. So he takes the phone. It's like, "Come on, you're being pathetic at this point. Like you're being a loser." Like they get into this whole thing about how Gwen is like, he may take me to bed, but he won't take me in his heart and stuff like that. And he's like, "Oh well, I fought for him. How come you didn't fight for me?" And da 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 this, da 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 that, the insecurities, yada yada yada. So then Leo winds up texting Xander. As Xander is having it out with Jack. I gotta be honest. They bump into each other, and at first Xander's like, "Oh, so we're not friends anymore," or anything like that. And he starts talking about Gwen. And he's like, "You just let her, you just gave up on her. You love her, but with conditions. Follow the line, otherwise I'll sit there and just, kick you to the curb." And basically Snit is saying that she'll never live up to Abby's standards. She'll never live up to the golden child. Point blank. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm like, when he started really going in on Jack about how, easily he gave up on her, I was like, everything he was Snit saying was facts. It was so much facts that even Jack couldn't even really, like, he couldn't really even sit there and defend himself when it came towards that. So he goes back to go see Gwen and everything, and Leo's like, "Yo, let's get revenge." They want to go back to the house, Xander and Gwen. And long story short, Gwen is like, "Listen, if you don't give us the paper, we'll sit there and make sure that Jennifer goes to jail for running me over." Like, it's almost like he forgot. It's almost as though Jack forgot who he was dealing with. The minute that she walked in the room and she was like, "Oh, the spectator, whatever." It's like, "Oh, well, if you're here to sit there and ask for your job back," it's like, no, 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 no. By the end of the conversation, she's not just going to have her job. You're going to lose. You're going to lose your job. That's what's going to happen. You're going to lose your job. So you might want to sit there and go with Jennifer to be wherever she's at, because that whole job is going to be done to. And I don't want to sit there and say that I'm with it as far as the whole revenge thing, but when it comes to your kids, it's not like you can just. This is why I don't understand this whole. I disown you. I disown you. I've disowned him. It's like that's not how that works. From the minute that they are born, that is a piece of your heart. You don't get to just decide, I quit on you. Yeah, this whole relationship, this whole father and daughter thing. Yeah, no, this ain't gonna work out anymore. I'm breaking up with you. No, I can't break up. I'm disowning you. No, no, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. So, of course, Leo's not that happy because now he's gonna have a job working at the Spectator with them. Doing the gossip column. Yeah, I think that's actually going to do it. I can't really think of anything else. But all in all, this was another good episode. This was another episode that clearly beat GH. I don't like saying that, but it's true. It's true. It beats GH. Once again. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. And I'll see you in the next video.